The next 7-star Tera Raid event has been announced by the Pokemon Company. Ceruledge released details on it on their Twitter account, stating that it will be running from December 30th to January 1st. So New Year's weekend will be the first chance we get at what is the mightiest Cinderace. That's right, we're getting another fire starter, but this one is to celebrate the Year of the Rabbit. So that's understandable. That's pretty cool. It's a 7-star, so it will be perfect IV just like Charizard. It will likely have its hidden ability just like Charizard. And again, it's running from December 30th to January 1st. But if you're not able to get it during that time frame, don't worry. It will return in 2 weeks on January 13th through the 15th. So Cinderace is typically a pure fire type Pokemon, but this particular one will be fighting Terra type. So that means it will be weak to flying, psychic, and fairy. Cinderace is a fast physical attacker with pretty decent defense and special defense. I believe it's a 75 on both. Some of the possible moves we could see on this Cinderace, maybe high jump kick. Pyro Ball is pretty certain that it'll have that because that's its signature move. It's very likely that it'll have Sucker Punch, maybe even Counter. There's a lot of really good options here that it could have. If it learns Counter, then that's really going to be a problem for physical attackers. So you may want to look at a special attacker as a backup if your physical attacker is your primary Pokemon for this. So speaking of, let's look at some possible builds. If it doesn't have Counter, then the Azumarill that basically everyone used for Charizard is going to be a pretty good option. The water resists fire, the fairy resists fighting, Belly Drum and Play Rough is a wonderful combo that's going to work just as well here against a fighting type as it did against a dragon type. Of course you'll want the Fairy Terra type for the buff, and that's pretty much it. As long as he doesn't have Counter, Azumarill's going to do really well. Ceruledge and Armarouge are both very good options here, I think. Armarouge, of course, being fire and psychic, it's going to have super effective damage against the Cinderace. And it's also going to resist any fire moves. Ceruledge, on the other hand, does not get stab on any super effective moves, but it does learn some good ones. It can learn Psycho Cut for super effective damage, so that's great. But with its Flash Fire ability, it's immune to fire. Armarouge as well gets the Flash Fire ability. But Ceruledge, also being a Ghost type, is immune to fighting type moves. Now the one discrepancy there is Counter ignores type effectiveness. So you can't expect that Ceruledge won't get countered, assuming that it has that move. I also forgot to mention that if Cinderace knows the move Sucker Punch, which is pretty likely, I would think, that's going to present a real problem for your ghost types, such as Ceruledge and Flutter Mane. So that's something that we should probably be keeping in mind. But yeah, Ceruledge and Armarouge both have a really great move pool. You can learn things like Swords Dance and Iron Defense, Helping Hand, Rest. So I think those two are going to be really good options. Your Iron Hands that most people have, I think, will be a pretty decent option here as well. I mean, it's got great stats, really high HP attack and defense. It's neutral to both fire and fighting. The Belly Drum and Play Rough combo will work here, or you can Drain Punch for survivability. If you're running Play Rough, you might want to consider the Fairy Terra type. But if you're just going to run Drain Punch, that Fighting Terra is going to work. Salamence and Dragonite could be possibilities here. They have very high base stat totals, particularly in physical attack. The dragon will resist fire, the flying will resist fighting. and they both have excellent move pools with plenty of options for super effective damage. Options like Dragon Defense, options like Dragon Dance and Iron Defense, Roost and Helping Hand. A lot of good stuff there. So Salamence and Dragonite are both going to be pretty good options, I think. Maybe Salamence edging out Dragonite, though. Dachsbun, with its signature ability, can also have a fire immunity. It's great defensively, and it has a lot of really good support moves like Yawn, Rest, Helping Hand, Charm, and it can learn Play Rough, Draining Kiss, Psychic Fangs, so good options for super effective damage as well. Now, if Cinderace knows Counter, let's take a look at some possibilities for special attackers that might help you out here. Flutter Mane. Flutter Mane, personally, I solo Charizard with Flutter Mane easily. And if Cinderace has Counter, Flutter Mane might be a good option. Now, I will say, Charizard's a special attacker, and Flutter Mane has huge special defense, so it really helped in that. But Cinderace is a physical attacker, and Flutter Mane's physical defense is not good, so you might not have much survivability if you bring Flutter Mane here. It is immune to fighting types, though, and the Fake Tears and Moonblast combination really did damage to Charizard, so that might work here as well. But it also learns many great Psychic and Fairy attacks. It has some pretty good support options. It's worth considering, at least. Another possibility is Hatterene. Hatterene is double resistant to fighting because it is a Psychic and Fairy type. It's pretty good defensively. Has really high special attack. And its hidden ability allows it to reflect non-attacking moves back to the opponent. So that would be really useful if Cinderace has anything that's going to, try to put you to sleep, or any sort of status move. Hatterene also is a really good supporter, so any of you guys who were out there running Blissey for healing options, or Grimmsnarl for supporting options, Hatterene might be a good option for you here, because it learns a lot of those really useful support moves. Miraidon. Miraidon, it's a legendary, has high base stats, Dragon resists fire. It learns great moves like Metal Sound, Reflect, Dazzling Gleam, Helping Hand, plenty more. You would consider Fairy Terra type on it to help with Dazzling Gleam, or Terra Blast if you don't have Dazzling Gleam, but I think either way, Miraidon might be a pretty good option here. Iron Moth has some pretty decent stats overall. Its special attack is through the roof. Fire resists fire, poison resists fighting. It can learn some great moves like Air Slash, Dazzling Gleam, Psychic, Helping Hand, Rest, and if someone sets up rain for you, then Hurricane would be a great choice here. And the Terra type would really depend on what moveset you're running, or what moveset the Cinderace has. So my personal thoughts on this. I already have Azumarill and Flutter Mane ready from doing Charizard raids, and I think they're probably both going to be pretty good options. So I'll be trying them at least, and I'll let you guys know. Iron Hands and Miraidon, I have those. They're pretty much ready, maybe a little modification, but I don't know if they're priority picks for me. So I might give those a try. But Ceruledge, Armarouge, and Hatterene, I think those are some picks that I'm definitely going to be interested in. So I'm planning to build those up and try those out and let you guys know how that goes. As I mentioned, Blissey was incredible at supporting anything in the Charizard raids, but due to Blissey's abysmal physical defense, I think it's gonna get chunked really bad here by Cinderace. So if you're looking for a healer, you might want to consider Hatterene instead. Of course, you'll want to beef up your HP and your physical defense on any Pokemon you intend on bringing, unless you might want to dump one of those. You might want to dump one of those EVs into your attack or special attack instead. But I think HP and defense is really going to be a good option here. Some honorable mentions, by the way, I would say Pelipper, with its Drizzle ability, can set up rain instantly, and that's going to be really good for getting off Hurricane. Pelipper can also learn Hurricane. Some other ones like Iron Moth that I already mentioned can learn Hurricane. So if you bring a Pelipper as a support mon with Drizzle ability, I think you're doing pretty well there. It also can learn some pretty good support moves, by the way. I also think Sylveon and Gardevoir could probably be some pretty good attackers here. They definitely fit the bill. Maybe Rotom Fan, Mimikyu, Skeledirge, Annihilate. Those could be some potential attackers. And Grimmsnarl might end up being a good support option here as well. So that's my thoughts on the new 7-star Mightiest Cinderace event that is coming up on December 30th. So I'll be grinding away, getting my Pokemon ready, and I suggest you do the same. And thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.